What is going on, Governor? Chisgule here, and today we're going to hook you up with the top 3 best starting civilizations in Rise of Kingdoms. Hello, my friends. We're going to get you off to a great start in Rise of Kingdoms by picking the very best starting civilization. If you're into guides that help you kick butt in Rise of Kingdoms, you should like and subscribe. We've got a ton of those. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Let's help you pick the very best starting civilization. Now, first and foremost, you got a lot of choices up in here. How the heck do you even evaluate? If you're not really into the game or you're just looking at this for the first time, there's 3 considerations. The first is the special unit. That is going to have slightly better stats than your normal unit of that type. For France, for example, the throwing axeman is going to have slightly better of a couple stats, and that's fine, but it's really not the most important thing when you make your decision. So forget about the special unit when picking your starting civilization. The next thing we're going to look at is bonuses, and we will talk about some of these bonuses and how they are relevant. It will be a factor in picking the starting civilization, but not the most important thing. No, my friends, the very most important thing in picking a starting civilization is the commander that you get with that civilization. And it is no coincidence that we are showing you France. This is our number 3 recommendation for the very best starting civilization in Rise of Kingdoms. That is because you will get Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc is one of the very first commanders that I recommend that you invest in. We'll have a card up in the top for early game commander investments and what that order should be. You can check that out at the end of the video. Joan of Arc is really strong because she is going to buff all nearby allies, helping them get stats for their units and to generate more rage, which means they use their active skills more frequently. She is a very powerful commander. She is one of the first 3 commanders I recommend that you invest in, and she's a gathering commander, which will be very, very good in the early part of Rise of Kingdoms, and honestly, mid and late part of Rise of Kingdoms. You're going to need to gather a lot of resources, so she is a great pick early on. Now, part of the reason that I also like France is that you get a troop health boost of 3%. That's all troop types. It's actually very good. In the early game, you're going to be using all different types of troops for basically everything. That's great. Wood gathering speed by 10% is also very, very solid in helping you get more resources. That's on point. And the hospital healing speed you probably aren't going to need. You probably aren't going to need it because you shouldn't be doing too much fighting. But if you do, you can heal down your hospital a little bit faster. That's really a benefit that is more advantageous for end game players that do a lot of open field fighting. Now, the next civilization that I want to talk about is going to be China. And this is a very important thing that I want to talk about before I talk about why China is important. And it's that as you're leveling up your new account, you will at one point get one of these tokens that lets you switch civilizations. So you can switch later to a civilization that is better for the long term. What you need to pick is something that's good in the beginning, and getting Sun Tzu as your starting commander will be phenomenal. Again, with the starting commander, you're going to get more of those sculptures in the early part of the game. Now, Sun Tzu is very, very good because he is the literal very best epic commander in Rise of Kingdoms. I'll put a card up in the top if you want to get a look at my epic commander tier list that breaks down where all of these commanders are really, really good. Again, check that out at the end of the video if that's what you want to go look at. Sun Tzu is also going to become your city defense captain. Highly recommend him as an investment. Now, with regard to the different abilities that are granted to you by China, there's a couple we need to talk about. First of all, troop defense by 3%. This is very unusual, although both civilizations I've shown you have general boosts to stats. Normally, you get just 5% for one type of troop. 3% for all types of troops is very, very good. The 5% action point recovery is going to be exceptional if you are regularly spending down your action points, which you should, baby. It's free value. Claim that free value. And the building speed boost of 5% is actually really deceptively good in the start of the game. A part of the reason why I've recommended China. You're going to have 2 building queues going at the same time, and you are going to be rushing up your city hall toward 25. As you do that, you're really going to want to ignore as many of the other buildings as you can to really hone in on getting the city hall Hall 25 as fast as you can. That is going to give you more troop capacity, let you have more marches on the field, a lot of benefits for getting your City Hall up. So unlike other games where you're leveling everything up evenly, you want to go all in on the City Hall at the start. Now, the 5% building speed is really good because you're going to have 2 building speed queues going at the same time once you reach either VIP 6 or if you use some special scrolls that let you build 2 things at the same time. And if you do have one of those scrolls, you should snap that off right away and start using it to get 2 queues going at the same time. This building speed boost will be hugely beneficial in the early game, and that is what we're talking about right now, the early game for Rise of Kingdoms. The number one choice, and by the way, you see me ignoring the special unit here? It does not matter so much for the start of the game, okay? Don't worry about that. The number one choice for a starting civilization is going to be Britain. In my opinion, Britain is a slam dunk first pick for a number of reasons. First and foremost, Boudica is a very versatile commander. She does high damage, but she also has one of her primary skills that is focused on killing barbarians. Barbarians are the units you'll find on the map. It's the player versus environment PvE content that you'll be battling. She's good at that, and she's good for battling players. That makes her a really phenomenal starting commander. She also doesn't care at all about a certain type of troop, so you can bring a mixed army, which you will be doing in the start of the game when you can't make a fully dedicated march to one type of troop because you just don't have the troops yet. She is a slam dunk awesome pick. Love it. Now let's talk about the benefits here. 5% archer attack. So this is not as good as the 3% of stats we were looking at before with the other civilizations we were recommending. But this next benefit is very good. 5% troop training speed. Now, why is this very good? You're going to need troops in this game. Troops are absolutely freaking crucial, okay? This bonus is the thing that makes this civilization good in conjunction with getting Boudica at the start. You're going to have 4 troop training buildings: infantry, archers, cavalry, and siege units. And they all are going to have 5% training speed boost with this bonus, which is very, very good. I highly recommend Britain for that reason. Now, the garrison capacity boost of 20% is an interesting idea. The way that works is you're going to have a building in your city. That is right here, the Alliance Center. You use your Alliance Center to help your allies build things faster, heal their troops, do research, and the higher level your Alliance Center is, the more reinforcement capacity it will have. If I were to swap to Britain right now, that reinforcement capacity will go up by 20%. That means that if my city was getting attacked, instead of people being able to bring in 1 million troops, they'd be able to have a total of 1.2 million troops in my city. But that's only really relevant if your city is getting max reinforced, and more often than not, you should be avoiding having your city getting hit rather than expecting you'll get max reinforced. That's a very unusual thing. So my recommendation to you here is that, look, Britain as a starting civilization. And again, this is all about starting civilizations. The 5% training speed boost is really good. You get Boudica, and when you're ready, you swap to something else. Now, which civilization should you swap to? My friends, that is a topic that we covered very, very in depth. The video we made for that has over 107,000 views at the time that we are recording this. Maybe it's 106,000 views. I'll put a card up in the top if you want to check that out for my recommendations on civilizations that you might want to switch to in the mid to late game and Rise of Kingdoms, using that free token you're going to get as you level up. Now, I do want to take a moment and mention some kind of honorable mentions for starting civilizations. One such honorable mention is going to be Germany. I love literally all of these bonuses here, but the starting commander of Hermann, who's focused on archers, does not excite me, and that is because Minamoto is a commander you can buy your way into. He's legendary, and he's a cavalry commander. He's the cheapest legendary in the game. He's still pretty expensive, but I mention that because if you try to run around with full archers, you're going to be battling into a lot of people who have the counter to archers, which is cavalry. That's going to be a tough situation. He is a fine commander, but this is not going to be one of my top 3. Another honorable mention I'll give you is Spain. Pelagius is a really good commander. He is a cavalry commander that I still use to this day on my account that even has 15 legendaries, okay? I still find occasion, if I'm bringing many cavalry marches, to potentially put Pelagius onto the field. The thing about Pelagius, however, is that he's fine, but not stupendous. He's maybe the 4th or 5th commander I might recommend you invest in as an epic, and for that reason, Spain is not one of my top picks. But the cavalry defense is good. You're going to use a lot of cavalry. The experience gained from neutral units is very, very good, especially in the early game. That gives you some edge. And the 20% resource production is totally fine. It is relevant, but not life-changing in the start of the game in Rise of Kingdoms. Again, you're picking your starting civilization based on the commander primarily, and the bonuses you use for a little while before you ultimately swap to something that's more advantageous. A couple other maybe honorable mentions. If you're a really big spender, you will want to swap to Korea for the research speed. I don't think, however, it's a good choice for a starting civilization. If you're a big spender, you might go with Ottoman. I'm talking big spender. You're going to get Osman, who is good for hitting cities and is really kind of a beast in the open field. This would be an interesting choice, but I still don't think the very best choice. This is a civilization you probably want to swap to, not a civilization you want to start with. Another honorable mention would be Japan. I love the resource gathering speed boost. I love the scout march speed in the beginning. You were going to do a lot of scouting, looking around for territory. And I like the 3% troop attack. The problem is that Kusunoki's an okay commander, but he's like again, in that like 4th, 5th pick for epics that you want to start with. And if you haven't looked, beginner's playlist up in the top, that's going to explain the order in which I'd recommend you do the epics and a whole bunch of other stuff that will really help you out on your journey. Hopefully you found this helpful. Number 3 pick France. Number 2 pick China. Number 1 pick Britain. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, please do consider liking and subscribing. You can get more content just like this from my brain to yours, so you can slay it in Rise of Kingdoms. At this moment, we're up to 122 million power, and we're going to probably gain another 10 million power in the next couple weeks. So we know a thing or two about the game. Account is now 544 days old. Got a lot of experience with this. One other thing you might want to check out before we go is our restart project. That's where we took all this knowledge that we have now, and like 150 days ago, we went in and we started a brand new account and went through the whole rigmarole that you're about to do, and man, it is so much fun. So enjoy your fresh start in Rise of Kingdoms, and until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.